think what's going on here, Eamon, across both the Conservatives and the Labour Party is an attempt by our politicians to tell all of us that they're actually really focused on what really matters in terms of the cost of living. Westminster's been obsessed with Partygate for weeks and weeks. There's a lot more to come. But now Boris is signalling that he wants the Cabinet to come to the meeting today, having done some homework, having got some ideas together in order to help ordinary people, frankly, make ends meet. And it's not just the Conservatives wanting to do this. Overnight, there was a story about a row in the shadow cabinet recently where former Foreign Secretary Lisa Nandy, she's now got the local government portfolio, she's the Wigan MP, apparently had an open row with Keir Starmer, telling him to focus less on Partygate and more on the cost of living. So we're going to hear a lot about this, and rightly so, because we are going through the most serious cost of living crisis, at the very least since the 1970s, and probably in living memory. The Office for National Statistics says that wages are lagging prices, lagging inflation to a greater extent than any time since the 1950s. So hopefully some people can come to the Cabinet with some ideas about what the government can do about it. Because, of course, it's not as if they haven't been in government for years already, is it?
Liam, let's be realistic about all this old guff that's being peddled out today. We've got to help the cost of living crisis. We can't spend any money. It can't cost us anything. And we're going to grow the economy as well. For goodness sake. I mean, what on earth is he talking about? I mean, Lisa Nandy has a very good point there about what to concentrate on. The only thing really now that matters to people is the pound in their pocket.
Absolutely right. There will be lots of gimmickry, and I think a lot of the gimmickry will backfire. Look, where the rubber really hits the road, Eamon, is exactly what we highlighted here on GB News when Rishi Sunak gave his spring statement back in March. And I think there will be an emergency summer statement, by the way. Back in March, when he gave that spring statement, he said benefits would be going up this year by 3.6%. 3.6%. At the same time, he announced that the government's own estimate of inflation this year, the extent to which prices will rise, the cost of living will rise, was 7.4%. And most of us outside the Treasury think that is actually an underestimate. I certainly think inflation is going to hit 10% pretty soon as a headline number. So it's way behind the increase in benefits. So it's not just wages that are lagging inflation, it's also benefits that are lagging inflation. And of course, it's our most vulnerable low-income families who rely most on benefits, whether it's food or it's fuel. Prices are going up much, much faster for the average household, and certainly for low-income households on benefits, than their incomes are going up. And that is the problem. And any amount of gimmickry and signalling to the electorate that you get it by telling them that the Cabinet's going to do this, that and the other is not going to wash.
We talk about this so often in terms of the individual, because obviously we're trying to speak up for people who can't necessarily get the ear of the authorities on this. But it's not just the individuals, it's hospitals, it's schools, places where they'll also see their heating bills go up, where they've also still got to provide food and meals. And we'll see the standards falling in those institutions as well as a result of this cost of living squeeze.
I think we will. I think we're going to see a return to some of the industrial action of the 70s, which, of course, Eamon and I remember, Isabel, but you clearly don't. It was a long time after that you were around, of course. But I do think there's going to be a bit of a return to those days of lots of industrial action. We can see the trade union movement becoming more and more vocal. Let's think about what the government's done. You're getting 150 quid off your energy bill if you are in council tax areas A to D. So a lot of people living in the south of England, that doesn't apply, and there are still lots of poor people in the south of England. That's not very much when the average fuel bill now for your home, your average dual fuel bill, that's gas and electricity, is £2,000. I think the government should do what we've been calling for here on GB News for a long time. They should scrap the VAT on those fuel bills. You can do that now you're outside the European Union. How about that for a Brexit win, Prime Minister? I also think, and I don't think this should be seen as a controversial anti-environmental thing, but I also think now is not the time to be charging those big green subsidies on your household fuel bills. 25% of what you pay in your electricity, roughly, goes on renewable subsidies. Should we really be carrying on with those at this very, very difficult time? There are areas, I think, where the government's also going to have to give more help to businesses, because we're meant to be in the middle of a post-lockdown bounce back. But what we're seeing in the numbers, and I cover the numbers pretty much every day on my show On the Money at 1 p.m. here on GBNews, what we're seeing in the numbers is that the economy is slowing as the cost of living goes up, as people's purchasing power, their ability to spend money is diminishing, then demand is falling and growth is falling. So it's, we thought it would be so great after lockdown. We thought that it would be sunlit uplands of fast economic growth and lots of prosperity. And in some senses it is. There are a lot of businesses out there doing their best. Unemployment isn't high at all. So in that sense, it's unlike the 70s. But an awful lot of people are struggling. And what we're going to see today is a choreographed attempt by the cabinet, by the government, as the shadow cabinet and the Labour Party is now, to try and convince the electorate, those just about managing households and many others who are struggling, that it's the cost of living that really matters, rather than endless parliamentary process, Partygate and all the rest of it. Of course, there's lots of anger out there about Partygate, but I would say far more people care about this cost of living crisis.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.